Been collaging on wood lately, so bought some pieces of wood at Michael's. They're pre-cut, pre-sanded. I think they were 59 cents. The smaller ones were 29 cents. Put a coat of white gesso and praying about each piece and what it's going to be when it grows up. Drilled a couple holes in it because I'm going to make these have a hanger of some sort. And then I just took some distress inks, stencils, and acrylic paint and went crazy. Added a little bit of washi tape here and there, just applying all kinds of colors, and then collaging papers, pages of Bibles, clear tissue. You can kind of see the first couple layers as they're developing here. All right, so at this point, now that I've got a couple layers down, I'm going to stop and think and eat and pray some more about what these are going to be when they grow up. I need to add a clear coat of clear gesso, a coat of clear gesso over every single one so that I can add layers on top of it. So that's what you see me doing here. And then I finally bought a stand so I could show, hook my iPad to it and actually take video, except I forgot not to attach the camera stand to the table I was working on. So pardon the vigorous movement of the camera here. And in a couple other sections on this video, as I brayer droplets of white gesso fiercely with a squeaky brayer across all the pieces. I love this part. It's so kinesthetic, and I like to use the edge of the brayer a lot, leaving caked up lines, and kind of makes it look grungy, I guess you could say. Yeah, so now we've got, what, 4 layers on there in some places, really starting to develop. Love the texture that the white gesso adds. But I've removed some of the color because of the white gesso, so I want to put some color back in. So these are just my Neocolor watercolor crayons, and I will speed up this video just adding some color back into each piece. One of the other ways I like to put color back in is going back to my stencils and acrylic paint. So that's what I'm doing here. I use the Liquitex acrylics, nothing super fancy. Box of 48 colors, that's awesome. It's all about making marks. I just love the change that each piece goes through. So if I'm putting more color back in, then you know I'm going to add another layer of gesso with the droplets here in just a moment, and the vigorous squeaky brayering, which will add more texture. God, I love that purple, huh? So now we're, you know, maybe 6 or 7 layers in some places. And again, I just really like the texture of the gesso and what it does to the piece. I'm starting to think about, I can't work too much longer on all the pieces at the same time. So I need to do some individual work. I'm going to pull out one piece, or I'm thinking now about which one piece I'm going to start with as I'm getting to this stage of things. I also like to add in using StazOn ink and stamps. Wait, a little more bearing here. Kind of going crazy with the bearing, but StazOn ink and stamps after everything's dry. Okay, every layer has to dry, so there you have it. After I know that everything is dry, then I just press my stamps into the StazOn ink. Some of my stamps are swirly, some are scripty. I love scripty stamps. I'll try to hold one of these up here in a minute so you can see a little bit closer. StazOn ink is waterproof. There, kind of see it. This process continues for quite some time. I just keep stepping back and looking at all the pieces and what needs to go where. And here's a closer view of the stamping. I just love what it adds. So I'll do that for, well, quite some time. And then I think I've honed in on the one piece that I'm stamping right now as the one that I am going to take further, and I'm going to set all the rest of them aside for now. So we're probably, what, 8 or 9 layers in on this piece. So I've taken a sketch from my sketchbook, photocopied it, reduced it, and photocopied on a regular copy paper, cut it out carefully, and I am applying a coat of the matte gel, which acts like glue, making sure I get all the little pieces so that it sticks to the wood. Oops. And I'm going to just lay that down right on the collage, making sure the holes are at the top there, so the hanger is at the top when this is all done. And the important thing is just pressing out all the bubbles, making sure that it's really adhered well. And once I'm sure it's down, there are no bubbles, it's dry, I need to put a coat of clear gesso over the top of it, because I'm going to add more things on her. So the board has clear gesso on it already, but the drawing does not. So this was just an image I saw on Pinterest that I drew into my sketchbook. And the clear gesso gives me the ability to just add more and more on top of her. My goal is to really make her a part of the piece. Right now she's kind of standing out from it a bit. She's all dry. I'm going to take my Tombow markers, charcoal, graphite pencils, black pit pen, waterproof pen, and my white Posca pen. And yeah, I forgot to turn the camera around, so sorry for the sideways. I am deepening the shadows with my Tombow marker. I love these markers. This is just the lightest gray, going back in because the original sketch, you kind of lose a little bit in the photocopy. I love these pens because you can blend them with water, and all I have out is the lightest gray and then the clear blender. You can see I'm just deepening the shadows on her, thinking about where the shadows are falling on her body parts and her hair. And then I'll go in with the charcoal pencil here, and I need to make her sitting, you know, a shadow underneath her, so she's actually sitting on the floor, on the board, under her bottom and under her feet. I love the rawness of the charcoal pencil. And sometimes I use it to go in and define the drawing a little bit. And the graphite, I don't want her to look too bold, I mean the lines to be too thick. I still want it to have that sketchy look. All these materials just go on her so nicely because of that coat of clear gesso. And then I actually grabbed the wrong pen here. It should be like a .03 or .05 so that the lines are thin, and this pen is kind of toast. Anyway, you see what I'm doing there is just lining lightly different places that I want to darken a few lines here and there. And then I like borders a lot, so you'll usually see borders on my work. I'm just going to use the charcoal pencil to put the border in here. Sometimes I stamp a border on, but I like the charcoal pencil just looking kind of raw. As another layer on this piece start to take shape. Okay, now it's time to bring in the white Posca pen. I am in love with my Posca pens, especially the white one. I like it to kind of show up, so I just scribble in different highlights on her knees and legs, thinking about where the light would fall. And oh, these pens are just awesome. You can blend them in with water and a brush. I like, again, kind of like it to look as just another layer. Try to get a shot up here close so you can see the pen and the application of it. Posca pens kind of draw on the top of everything. They're quite beautiful and versatile. Okay, once I finish up with the white Posca pen, it's time to add some more texture. So this is light modeling paste and a plastic knife and my stencils. And I am going to just here and there add the additional texture of the light modeling paste. It's a little bit transparent, but still adds, kind of just brings some of the white back in over some of the color. Oh, I just love the light modeling paste. Brutal on the stencils though, so need to wash them with warm water, the stencil out afterwards. The modeling paste is nice too, because if you do mess up, which I do here in a few minutes, you can just kind of pull it off until it dries, flake it off. Loving that. Sometimes the modeling paste for me helps with transitions. I might see a hard line of color that I want to blend together a little bit. I'll do that with the modeling paste. Okay, she's taking shape. What are we, about 10 layers in now? Not done yet though. But she has come a ways. Gotta stop and go wash out my stencil real quick. Alright, this is the fun part. I'm just a big believer in flinging paint. I think it's more therapeutic than aesthetic, but anyway, so this is just white gesso with water, kind of a watery mixture, and I just flick the paint off the end of the brush. Kind of funny, I end up with more of it on me. I looked in the mirror afterwards, had it on my face, my glasses, my pants, up my arms. It's great. Needs a little bit more water to really fling off, and I use a brush, a rounded brush. It seems to work the best. Fun stuff. Ta-da. Yeah, more on the hands than on the piece of wood. All right, here I'm gonna do another finishing part. I take my old Stays On stamp pads, and I like to go across the edges. It gives it kind of a burned look, I guess, darkened look. So I just rub the ink pad there. Kind of hard to see on the video, but I like it. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna finish her off with, this is just wire out of my sketchbook. I saved the coil wire out of my sketchbooks, and I snipped off a piece of it. It's got paint all over it because I used it for something else, but I kind of like the look. I'm gonna put them through the holes, and yeah, there it is. I'll show you the back side of it too. I thought I was done. I need to be done because I have like, what, 15 other pieces sitting on the counter waiting. But no, I'm not done yet because I like at the very end, I like to add acrylic paint that has some shimmer to it. What do you call that? I can't think of the word, but you know what I'm saying. So this is just a gold and stencils. Love that. Thick application. Metallic, that's the word. There she is. All right, so hope you enjoyed it, learned something. I know I did. Thanks for taking the time to watch and comment. That really means a lot.